Hello, everyone. You're listening to Those Are the Girls with Mallory and Friends. I'm Mallory,
I'm Victoria.
and we are changing culture and bringing back traditional values. Okay, everyone, I'm back. Yay!
Yay! Finally. I know no one wanted to hear me talk about golf last week, but
No, it was a good episode. It was a lot shorter than my solo episode, which was like an hour, but
lucky for our guest, I was exhausted and I was like, I gotta crank this out.
But yeah, so
Ugh.
I'm back from CPAC, which was really, honestly, this was the best one I've ever been to. I have some friends that couldn't come, and like, I hate to say it, but y'all really missed out. Like, I wish you guys were there.
What made it so good this year?
Great question. I personally, for me, I really liked, I went to the women's lunch and I went to the women's breakfast, and I don't think they did it purposely, but I think just because this is like the year of the conservative woman, there were a lot of women that spoke and were highlighted. And I just really enjoyed hearing them speak. And I don't know, like, I was really skeptical because normally it's in DC. And for those that don't know, DC is my absolute favorite city in the entire world.
Mine too.
Yeah, it's a great city. And I was really skeptical, and like, I know DC way I've been to Orlando like twice in my life. I know DC way better, and like a lot of my friends couldn't come, and like I was just very skeptical of this year. But I the Claire Luce Booth Center for Conservative Women, I entered their essay contest and they actually paid for my trip. So I had that opportunity and I was like, well, I don't want to not take advantage of it. So I went ahead and went, and I really wanted, like, I love conferences. If you know me, if honestly, I feel like from October to maybe April, I go to at least a conference a month. Especially if I'm blessed to be sponsored to go to that conference, I will show up. Anyway, so like I said, I was very skeptical about this one being in Florida. In Florida, in Orlando specifically, but the hotel was so nice. I stayed at the hotel where the conference was, which was actually great too. If you ever go to conferences, if you can stay at the hotel, it saves you so much money. I cannot express to you, if it's possible, stay at that hotel because those Ubers, they add up. And the hotel, it had like a water slide, waterfall. The pool was so nice outside. And then I mean, I just met a lot of really, really great people. And the group I went with, the Center for Conservative Women, they just did a really good job of making sure that we were included in things. We had, because of COVID and all the stuff going on, they had limited tickets here and there. They had like a big overflow. We didn't have to worry about any of that stuff. We could just go right in. They did a really good job taking care of us. They gave us some really great books. It was a really great experience. Also, too, the quote unquote nightlife was really fun. On the last night there, we went to a country bar, which I personally am not like. Yeah, that's not my thing.
Ellis.
Well, that's not my
They're
thing,
my
but
favorite.
I had a good fun. Like, I had a good time. Like, I really did have fun. I think the best part was nobody knew what they were doing, so I wasn't as nervous about not knowing what I was doing.
Was it like line dancing?
Oh yeah, it was straight up line dancing. And they played, so at first they were playing like super country music, and for those of you that don't know, I personally do not like country music.
And I do, so.
Yeah. Yeah, and so did so did the previous co-host. And honestly, like, I know country songs because when I was living in Virginia, I was indoctrinated by my friends and then by my then boyfriend, because everyone around me liked country music, and I was indoctrinated. That's how it happens. It happens in so many different ways. But so I knew some of the songs, and like my friend that I went with, she was like, she loves country music, and then like I started singing along to one, and she's like, I thought you don't like country music. I was like, I don't. If I know the song, I typically just start singing. I don't mean to. But then randomly they played like an Ariana Grande song, and I was like, this is it. This is what I'm talking about. and there was like a dance to go with it, and they played like a rap song that I didn't know. I think it was one like the young kids know.
Those
And then
TikTokers.
yeah, I think it was a TikTok song. So like, you know, all the younger people there, because it's also 18 plus, so you know, it was a good bar, but if there's 18-year-olds, you know,
Well,
it's
that's
not
the
going to be the
best.
same.
Like, I remember in college, we had a country bar that unfortunately closed after my freshman year, but it's so much fun because they mixed in country music with like popular music and some line dancing. Like, I loved going to that. That was like the few times I went out. I loved going. Like, that was like my favorite bar. And like, unfortunately, the guy who owned it owned like a few others around the state and then went bankrupt. So it was like a whole thing. It was so sad. That's where we would always go. It was so much fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, I mean, it was so fun. The last song they played was Wobble, which they played that at every Sweet 16 I ever went to. And
Every
I know that one
wedding now.
Yeah, I know that one like the back of my hand, so I felt very comfortable. And that was they played that song with okay, I guess now is a good time to leave. So like I mean stuff like that was fun. I really enjoyed a lot of the speeches. Hearing the president speak was good. And I liked a lot of the things he said. If you follow me on Instagram and on Facebook, you know. I really like the fact that he said that he was not going to start a third party. That was something that was concerning to me. And I understand that there was like rumors saying that he was going to start a third one, but he said it was fake news. So that really, I appreciated that. Like when he said that, I was like, okay, all right. I feel like let out a breath of fresh air.
Didn't he say too that if we split off and have a third party, Democrats will always win. Like we'll never win again.
Absolutely. And that is the truth. And I've had that conversation with a few people and they, you know, say so many other things. They disagree with me on that, but I keep wanting to call him President Trump.
Well, he's still President Trump.
Oh, he's still, even though he's not.
Technically, he'd be like former President Trump, but he's still technically President Trump. Okay. Like,
I feel like calling him Donald is too formal. Like, I don't know him like that, at least not yet.
Like, his title is still president.
Okay. Well, President Trump, I forgot what I was saying about that.
Talking about his speech.
I don't remember the point I was going to make, but the speech was good. If you haven't seen it, you definitely should look it up. He talked about a lot of things. He which I really appreciated him talking about, he talks about what's going on with HR, I believe it's 1 or 5.
I think he sent me one.
But
it's a federal bill. That's what I wasn't sure about when you asked
me. Well, and I really would like to do like an episode or like at least maybe find someone who can talk about it. The transgender bill that would allow biological men to be in sports with biological women, which is just not fair. And so many other things. There are provisions for taxpayers to pay for abortion. Like it's just a lot of things are in this bill and it's under the name of the Equality Act. And people just hear equality, and which is one thing. So also another thing I liked about the conference was all the conversations I had with people. And one of the things that was a very common thread that I had with so many people from all over the country was we have to work on our messaging. And I was able to ask KT McFarland, who is an amazing woman. When we do book club, we're going to read her book. She is fantastic. Anyway, I'll fangirl over her later. One of the questions I did ask her was like, how do we try to articulate our points when the left is using words like equality, love, we care about everybody, stuff like that, when we do as well, but we're just so stuck on statistics and the way we say it just doesn't sound as fluffy as others. So that's one of the things that we discuss. And for those that don't know, I'm running for PR chair in Meth County, and that's something that I want to really work on, because 2022 is coming up and you don't start working for 2022, or you don't start working for November 2022 and 2022. You start working for November 2020. And, you know, we're already kind of behind now. So I really want to start, I really want to figure that out. I really want to figure out how can we work on some messaging. So I know Victoria and I have talked a lot about like some of the things that we're thinking of doing to help work on that messaging, some episode topics and things like that. And
well, we should work together because we're both, if your slate wins, we'll both technically be social media chairs of our counties.
Oh, really?
So
I didn't realize that.
Well, yeah, I'm social media chair for Guilford.
Wait, when do you guys have your elections?
Saturday.
Oh, but you're running unopposed.
As of right now, technically I'm not running because mine's an appointment. But
yeah, I think mine's an appointment too. Yeah. But I'm saying running because it's like a
you're on a slate. Like technically,
it's an intense race.
Yeah, technically we don't have committees on our slate, so we're also running unopposed.
Interesting. Yeah, we definitely should work together because that's another thing. I met this girl. We have met before, but it was like one of those things like, I know you, I'm not sure if I know, one of those situations. And we talked about, and she lives in North Carolina, and she lives in Wake County, I believe. And we talked about the clubs coming together. Like, we should be coming together. We should be doing things like, not just like the clubs, but like our boards of our counties. Like, so I really would love to collab in any way possible.
Yeah, that would be good because I know, and I wonder too, because I know like under like the YRs, if you're like, it's so like for example, if you're treasurer of your YR group, then you sit on the treasury, the finance committee with the state treasurer. So I think that's something we need to be looking on. Is like if you're doing messaging communications for your local party, we need to be sitting on the like whoever does communications for the NCGOP should have like a committee where we sit on it so we all make sure we're all on the same page messaging.
Yeah, I agree. I think that there should be some sort of, and I don't know if this is already a thing, but if there's a group of everybody that's for every position in every county, and then with the like you said, like NCGOP as well. If that's not a thing, I think we need to make it a thing because like you said, messaging should be the same. And then I know we're going to be deciding the platform and the party platform and all that stuff. We just have to be consistent because I do think my friends in Virginia and some of the stuff I see going on in Virginia is a little crazy with their boards and things like that. So like, I really don't want that to happen. And I think like the best way for us to make a difference, the best way for people to understand and take us seriously is if we do have the same messaging, because you know there's more independents than Republicans in Met County, and the same's in Guilford, right? Yeah, so there's more independents, so that means there's more people that we could be touching and that could be coming over to our side. Even if, so I had this conversation, I was actually talking to somebody on Instagram today about this, even if you don't have an R by your name, you can at least feel confident voting for the person with the R by their name because you know that they're going to stick with their values and values that you also believe in.
Yep.
So, but yeah, stuff like that, like that was kind of the conversation as well. Just sitting around the dinner table, sitting around lunch, was just having these really good conversations. And honestly, like I felt very motivated, empowered, all the buzzwords. I really felt that this weekend. And I do want to talk a little bit about the women's breakfast was really awesome. They had, her name is Crystal. I'm so sorry. I should have had her last name pulled up, but I'll tell you what she does really quick. Sorry, Crystal Malfuz, and she created Ace Specialties. So you want to know what Ace Specialties is? They are a small business that did all of the merch for the Trump campaign.
Oh,
they
wow.
did merch for Kristi Noem's campaign. And I have a Kristi Noem for governor hat. You know, in North Carolina, it doesn't really mean much, but it is cute. And they also did this mug that I don't have in here. This really cute, the women's breakfast mug. But hearing her speak, I mean, oh my goodness, she was fantastic. She talked about being a small business. She talked about the chance that she took with President Trump and doing the merchandise, doing all the graphic design and stuff like that. I mean, she is an amazing woman. It was so great to hear from her. And then KT McFarland and her daughter Fiona McFarland, they spoke, and KT McFarland, she was the highest, she had the highest clearance of any woman in the Trump administration.
Oh, wow. Yeah. What did she do for the Trump administration?
Okay, let's see. Let me pull it up. She actually, so she was one of the people, she was collateral damage of the Russia hoax. She actually, she was the Deputy National Security Advisor under Michael Flynn.
Okay. I don't know what that means.
Yeah. I just know she was amazing. She also worked for Henry Kissinger.
Love Henry Kissinger.
Yeah. And then she was like,
is he still alive?
I can look it up real quick. I feel like he is. Just
I feel like he is too. He's up there.
Oh no, it says, I typed Henry Kiss and then it said obituary.
Is he dead?
Oh wait, but I think he's alive still. Wait, where is?
Let me look. I have it up. Let's see. He's still alive. Awesome.
Yeah. Awkward. Did someone already write his obituary?
Maybe it's like Henry Kiss's obituary. But I feel like someone as cool as him already has his obituary written.
That's true.
But I loved his book. It's see if you can see it. No. I have his book right here. Oh, I just dropped another book. Diplomacy, How to Read That for U.S. Foreign Policy.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. She's really good with that. And she talks about how, like, as women, she had to go into these places and she had to, it was the first time women were in certain areas. The first time women were in the workforce, and she just was saying how, like, now we have so many choices. She was just saying how now, like, the other thing I love that she said, like, at first it was women who were, they were in these places and they were constantly fighting, or like you were competition. Now there's so much room and space that you can be in these same spaces and you can collaborate.
Yeah, I was listening to Dax Shepard's podcast today, on Armchair Expert, and he had on Amy Poehler, and she was saying that like her generation, which is like 40 somethings, is the generation that was raised by boomers, where a woman's role, like the only two jobs they could get were a nurse or a teacher. And so like or secretary. And so like her generation, which is like 40s 50s, is a generation told that you can do whatever you want to do. So it's like interesting that like you bring that, because I literally heard that today when I was listening to that podcast.
Yeah, and that's what she was saying. The other thing that I love that she said that you can do whatever you want to do and still have a family. She talked a lot about having a family and about like putting your family first, and you can still be successful. And then she was like, you're not going to hear that at a leftist conference, because they're going to tell you can only have one or the other. But she's like, I'm here to tell you can have both. And personally, this is about to get really personal. She said that she got married at 34 and she found the love of her life. And she said, get married young if you can, but don't settle. And she said she's so glad she didn't settle, and she got married at 34 and she has 5 kids. And if you know me, you know that I want a lot of kids. And that is something that I do struggle with, because, I'm 26, and if you're not in the South, you don't understand how like behind I am compared to everybody. I have friends on like baby number 3 at this point. So, and not even in a not even in a comparison way. And I didn't think that I would be unmarried without a child by 26 either. Like that's not like, that was an expectation. That was a standard I had for myself.
Which is funny, because I was like completely opposite. Like I didn't think I'd be married till like at least 30.
Yeah. And honestly, I have a few friends that were kind of sort of like that too, which I find very funny, that they're married and I'm not, because like I've always wanted to be a wife and a mother. Like that was something that I've wanted my entire life. So I thought by 26 I definitely would have a kid or two, but that's beside the point.
Well, I think when you're not looking is when God puts that guy in. Right. Oh, guy in.
For sure. And I'm honestly not even concerned about that anymore, like the last couple of weeks. But anyway, that's another episode. My whole point being, it was really great to hear her say that.
On Thursday's episode, we'll be talking about Mallory's love life.
But in all seriousness, though, it was really good to hear her say that, because another concern of mine, though, too, is like going into this space. I don't want to be, because it's not me, but I think I sometimes come off this way. I don't want to be known as the girl who doesn't have a man because she don't need a man and she's all blah, 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 da, 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 because that's not where I am. I don't have a man because I haven't met a man. It's not that I'm not one of those girls that I don't need nobody. I'm gonna be blah, 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 blah. And I know I can come off that way. So I'm concerned that, like, in this space, especially because when I look at all these other women that are in positions that I would like to be in, they're all married. And they were married around this time. But hearing her say that she wasn't and she was still so successful, and like that just really gave me some comfort.
Yeah. It's interesting, kind of like you talk about you don't need no man. Or I remember like a sermon my pastor did that at ECU. He did this great sermon series back in like 2018. It's Open Door Church in Greenville, North Carolina. And you think you can find it on podcast, to be honest. But he did this whole series about relationships and was talking about how, like, with him and his wife, she told him, she's like, look, I don't need you, but I want you. Right. And he goes, that's the best kind of marriage like you can have. It's just, like, you're not like crazy dependent on the person, but like you want them in your life. You want them to be around. That's the best way, that's kind of foundation to have.
Well, yeah, I agree 100%. I'm talking about those girls that are like overly like,
oh, like overly like dramatic.
Like, yeah, overly dramatic. I don't need no man. Like, I'm this, I don't know. Like, I just feel like I see a lot of women who like overdo how much they don't need nobody. And it's like a turn off. It's like, well, do you even want my friendship then? I mean, you got it. Then you got it. Like, dang. Like, that's what I'm talking about. But no, I agree. Like, that's another thing too. I personally don't want to be someone that needs somebody. Like, I'm very proud of how in relationships, I have been able to keep who I am and to keep my focus. Like, I had a friend who, like, her entire life became her now husband, and no judgment to her, but like I have seen the fruit of that type of behavior. So in other words, like, all of her friends were his friends. She woke up, went to his house. She spent all day at his house. He was in school. She would be at home in his house doing her schoolwork. She would cook at his house, and then she would go home and sleep in her bed and then come back to his house again. And like, she quit her job because he didn't want her working at the place she was working at. So like, I am very proud of how I've been able to, and when I've been in relationships, kind of stick with this is my interest. This is what I want to do. I wish you would come with me. You don't want to come with me? Oh, well, I'll see you when I get back. Like, I'm very proud of myself for that. And I think that's also, honestly, I feel like you should be able to do that, because when you're in a marriage, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, nobody wants someone that's like clingy, I guess.
Oh, no, not at all. And I think I made that mistake with like my high school sweetheart. That like because for me, I was competing, like I was playing a ton of golf, trying to be in a relationship and keep up with my schoolwork, and so any free time I would devote to him. And honestly, it hurt my friendships. And then when we broke up, I was like, okay, like what's now? Like, I lost my friendships. I lost him. I mean, I didn't lose my friendships, but I had to go back because they would
go back and kind of start over.
And they because I would tell them no, and then they just stopped inviting me.
Yeah.
And so I learned that at a young age to not solely base your life around someone. Like, it's like you can go have your own friends, you can do your own thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's the best advice I can give. It's just like, yeah, like, I mean, you both need to be on the same page, but you can both do your own thing too. Like, you don't have to be joined at the hip 24/7. I mean, we kind of are, because where else are we gonna go? But
yeah, like, while the first time you'll be listening to this recorded, you literally probably will have to be, but when you don't have to be, you don't have to be.
Yeah, like, it's completely fine if you like wanted, like, if he wants to do one thing and like okay, for example, he enjoys playing Madden football. on like PlayStation. I hate video games. Like never played them, never cared to do it. But while he plays his video games, like I'll sit in the other room and read. Like it's good to have alone time, separate time from each other.
Yeah. And I think that is definitely, and that is healthy. And I want to come off like that. And I get nervous that I come off as like the other type. That's a little bit too much. Like, I don't need no man. But anyway, all that to say, I'm glad she said that, because a lot of women in positions that I want to be in are married, and they were married in their 20s, and it made me nervous. Like and I also too, like, as someone who is pro-life, pro-family, I don't want, people to be like, okay, but where is her family? Because I also think that, and this has been a very humbling experience for me, because I know, and this is just, I guess, me confessing, I know that I would sometimes judge people who were like 28, 29, not guys, but girls. Guys are just, that's a whole nother story. But girls sometimes, when they were that age, because, and they were single, because especially like in Christian subculture, like you need to be married. So in my head, I would judge like, oh, I wonder, like, they must be trying to put their career first. And if you put your career first, then you're going to be blah, 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 which also too, we hear a lot of people say, like, in the Christian subculture, there are a lot of people who do shame people who put their career first. And, there's an argument for and against that we won't get into. All that to say, it was good to hear what Mrs. McFarland said. Anyway, and then I'm trying to think of who else I really enjoy. Congresswoman Kat McCamick. I'm terrible with names if y'all hadn't figured it out. And she's the youngest woman that's been elected to Congress. She was there. Yeah, super sweet. I got a picture with her.
First time, right?
Yeah, first time.
I remember that being a news story.
Yeah. Wait, first time what?
I think this is her first term, CPAC? Right?
Yeah, this is her first term. Yeah,
that's what I was meaning.
Yeah. Yeah, I said yeah, then I was like, wait, what do you mean? But yeah, so I met her, which was really cool, and I got to talk to her. I got to talk to Kim Klasick, which was cool, and she looked fabulous. I mean, she always does, but she was wearing pink, so y'all know that really, like, it made me smile even more. So it was just really good to talk about. I mean, to hear these women talk and to hear them. I just really liked the focus on career and family, just like Amy Coney Barrett. Career,
and I mean, for family. Me, like, I do want that. Like, I want a career, I want a family, like, I want it all.
Yeah, same.
And I know, like, kind of going back, in defense of the left, where they say like one or the other, it was because back in the 60s, 70s, you did have one or the other, because there were laws where if you got pregnant, you can be fired and you can't get rehired because you had a kid. And I mean, that's the whole premise behind Roe v. Wade. That's why they pushed abortions. Like, that's the history of abortions, is they wanted to give working women the option to work if they wanted to work. Because I think we talked about that a little bit. Because I read like Ruth Bader Ginsburg's biography, and that was what she was like talking about. It's like back then, like, women couldn't do both. Yeah. And so I think that's where the left still has that mindset, because they are pro-abortion because of that mindset, where we on the right, we're for life, because a woman can have it all today. You can.
Absolutely. And I just love that they talked about it. I love that they showed it. I love that a lot of those women are living that life of having it all. Fiona McFarland, her daughter had a baby. She was pregnant while on the campaign trail.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, and then she had her baby. And, a lot of people say, oh, she should be home. She shouldn't be going back and forth. Well, she brings the baby with her. And then because of family, her mother sometimes will come and help her with the baby. Well, her husband, of course, as well. But, like, my whole point is, like, it was such an emphasis on, like, family. Like, if you have a good family, you don't have to worry about getting babysitters. You don't. If you have a good family dynamic, you don't have to worry about getting babysitters and things like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I would say, if for some reason I get pregnant during campaign season, you better believe I'll be out doing door knocking and passing information till the day I pop. And then when I pop, you better believe that child's strapped on my chest.
Yeah. Well, that's what she was saying too. She said it was kind of almost like an advantage because it made her seem more real.
Agreed.
Yeah. Which, once again, that's the beautiful thing about being a woman. Like, men and women are not the same. And that is something beautiful that men can't do that. No matter what anybody says, a man cannot get pregnant.
I wish. I'm like, Sebastian, you carry this kid. I'm good. You carry it.
When you're pregnant, you should make him do one of those things that
we could do a whole like video series of it. Oh, that would be fun.
That would be fun. I would actually really like to see that. Did he hear us? Oh no, but your headphones are in.
So you wouldn't know what we were saying. Room too.
Okay.
Oh man.
But yeah. Any other questions?
You said you got some books. What books did you get?
Oh, great books. Okay. Katie McFarlane has a book. I got her book. Kaylin McInerney, our girl Kaylee. Like I said, I can't pronounce names. She has a book. I don't know. Did you know that?
Mm-mm.
She has a book. Okay, let me grab it. Everybody give me 2 seconds.
Yeah, so see, what do I have going on this week? When we get done with this podcast, I'm going to organize the other room. I'm very excited. I bought some new containers to organize.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay, Mal's back. I can stop jibber jabber. Did you hear me at all?
I heard you, yeah.
I'll be in the other room organizing.
Okay, so Kaylee's, I'm just gonna call her by her first name. Kaylee's book, The New American Revolution, The Making of a Populist Movement. And then I got Pete, everybody's last name so hard, Hegseth's book, American Crusade. He is so attractive. And then we got this book that I know you would love. So when I see you, I'm probably going to let you read it first. It's this book. It's called The U.S. Constitution.
Is it the actual Constitution?
I think so. Or like, there's a bunch of stuff in here. There's like the Federalist Papers are in here, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, I have those somewhere.
And then it's something about the Dred Scott decision, a house divided by Abraham Lincoln, 17th Lincoln-Douglas debate. It is a reader.
Sounds really interesting.
Yeah. It is made up of original source documents that bear upon the founding of the American Republic, the making of its constitution, and the struggle to preserve the document and govern under the current day. And when she gave this to us, I was like, oh, I know someone who would love this. I would too, but this is definitely
considering I'm reading a book about history of the political parties.
Right. So I immediately thought of you.
See if I have any interesting facts right now.
Give us some encouragement.
I'm trying to think. I mean, it's so crazy how like it's just cycles. I'm in the latter. Right now, I'm in the latter 1800s when it's like the Republican era. Teddy Roosevelt just roughly came on the scene. Trying to remember what I read last night, and it was very interesting. I'm like blanking. I'll give you an update later this week because I can't remember to save my life. Okay.
Yeah, maybe on the Saturday episode we'll start having a segment where Victoria gives us encouragement about what's going on.
I'll give you my we should call it Vic's Nerd Session.
Yeah, we should do something like that. And then this book by Nancy Grace called Don't Be a Victim, Fighting Back Against America's Crime Wave. Okay. Did not know Nancy Grace was a conservative.
Sounds really interesting.
Yeah, I'm excited to read this. When I was younger, Nancy Grace used to have a show on CNN, and I always knew her as the girl who just the woman who just talked about true crime and gave her unsolicited opinion, which I personally, as someone who gives unsolicited opinions, I enjoyed it.
Isn't that what we do every day?
Every single day. And she gets paid for it. So that's who I knew her as, but she apparently has moved to Fox because I also got Fox Nation for free because they were giving out a code and they did every 5 seconds there was a commercial for Fox Nation. And by the last day I was like, you know what, let me just go ahead and get it. And she had a commercial, like she had like a 10-second thing on there about her show. And then this, I think might be the first book I read. I'm really excited to read. It's called Subverted: How I Helped the Sexual Revolution Hijack the Women's Movement, which I think is going to be very interesting. If you're watching on YouTube, this is how it looks. And then Why We Need the Electoral College. I really want to do an episode on this.
I remember now what the book was at. It was talking about the first time. It was talking about oh God, what is it called? Not the party system. Oh crap. You keep talking, I'm gonna grab my book.
Okay. So Why We Need the Electoral College. I really want to read this because I know that we need it, and I have like talking points, but I want to be able to articulate properly the real importance of the Electoral College. So I'm excited for that. And then, like I was saying, K.T. McFarland's book, it's called Revolution, Trump, Washington, and We the People. So I'm excited to read this. Yeah, she talks about, so she's talking about like when she left, when she had to leave because of all the Russia stuff.
Okay, so it was talking about like machine politics. That's what it was talking about, and how
what does that mean?
Essentially how like they it's like the voting machines.
Oh yeah.
And it was talking about how there's like essentially election fraud in the late 1800s, and talking about how it literally what happened this last time where they disputed certain states, like the same thing happened in the late 1800s, and they ended up appointing like 2 or 3 Congress people, or 2 or 3 House people, 2 or 3 Senate people, 2 or 3 Supreme Court justices. And the Democrat candidate would have won, but they appointed a Supreme Court justice that was liberal to the U.S. Senate. And it wasn't until like the early 1900s that the U.S. Senate race or U.S. Senate seats were decided by the state legislators.
Interesting.
And so the state legislators appointed this guy to be their U.S. Senate, which opened the Supreme Court seat to make it a conservative. And so that's how the Republican won.
Interesting.
So it was interesting to see like what happened this year with them disputing like states isn't the first time it happened.
Once you're finished this book, we should like go through chapter by chapter, not like in one entire episode because we know that's going to be long.
It will be like a 10-hour episode.
Yeah, maybe like our Thursday episode could be something like, let's go over what was going on this, because I think that's very interesting. And I think that's something that people like, I didn't know that. I mean, I knew that because you've been telling me that, but like I didn't know that before you told me.
Yeah, and I would definitely recommend. It's called The Life of the Parties, is the book I'm reading, and it's great because it really goes through like history, because I mean every part of our history is tied to politics.
Absolutely.
So it kind of goes through like the history of the country, tied it together with the politics and what's going on with like the political parties then. So yeah, definitely would recommend. Tell us about, so you wrote in order for you to go, you wrote an essay to this group.
Yes.
It's kind of, I guess, explain a little bit like the process of that for anyone who would want to do that at like the CPAC next year or a different conference, and talk a little bit about the group you went with.
Yeah, so I went with the Claire Booth Luce Center for Conservative Women, and they're an amazing organization. Here's a little pamphlet that happened to me on my desk, but what you probably know them from is their women's calendars. Does everybody, well, it's just you. Do you know? Okay.
I have no idea.
They do a conservative women's calendar every year. 1 second. It's right here. I'm going to pick it up and show you.
I did not know they did a conservative calendar.
Yeah, and it has women every month. And then last year, Kaylee was the woman of the year. So like this first January it was Senator Blackburn. Last month it was Star Parker. This month is Kristi Noem.
The goat.
Next month is Betsy DeVoe. Then Rachel Capos-Duffy. Then Liz Wheeler. Oh, that's controversial. Diamond and Silk. Kellyanne. Kristen. Oh, Students for Life. Kristen Hawkins. I feel like I knew that already, though. Anyway, the whole point is every month they just highlight women, and that's how I discovered it, because my friend got a calendar from them and I was like, ooh, that's cool. So about 2 years ago I did that, and I started following them on Instagram, and then I just saw that they were having an essay contest because they wanted to send some girls to CPAC. And the question was, I believe the question was like, why are you conservative? And I've written things like that before, so I kind of already knew like why, like my reasoning, and like I kind of already had something similar typed up. I spruced it up, and then I submitted it, and then I received an email that I was able to get it, and they were so gracious. They paid for the hotel, they paid for everything except for the flight. I was going to name everything, but they paid for everything except for the flight. But then they compensated us a little bit for the flight. So it was a really cool, and I mean, they do a lot of cool things. They do a fellowship, and just something that's really cool in their fellowship, they go shooting. Like you learn how to go shooting, stuff like that. So yeah, I highly recommend if you're not following them. And I love women organizations. Those are the girls I want to be another women's organization. Obviously, you know, we're not the same as the Center for Conservative Women. We're not the same as Young Women for America. We're obviously something different, but I want to be a resource. I want to be in the same category, I guess is what I'm trying to say, in the sense of like uplifting women, empowering women, showing that women are not the same as men, because I do want to put an emphasis on that. We're not the same as men, but we are equal in our value. God sees us exactly the same.
We just that's a good way to put it. Like I haven't heard anyone say that before. It's like we aren't equal to men, but we have the same value as men. I think that's the way that we as conservative women need to say it. I mean, the left just keeps going like women are better than men. We need to be like better. We need to be, and which is nothing bad about trying to be better than anyone else. Like, I mean, I think that's what motivates you. Like, that's not a bad thing if you want to work hard to be better than someone else. Competition is healthy. Yeah, competition is healthy. But when the left looks at as we can get rid of this patriarchy society and we just need to put down the men and keep pushing them down and put women up higher, like that's not the way either. Exactly. I guess it's reverse sexism. Like it is. You can't do both. It is. But I think definitely like the way you describe it's like, look, like we aren't equal. Like our bodies are different. But in the eyes of God, we are equal. Yeah, like there is no Jew, and the Bible said there's no Jew and no Gentile. There's no male or female. There's no something else and something else. I should know this verse, but the whole point is like God just sees us all as the same. We have the same value. We just have different functions. The reality is women are more nurturing. I mean, you cannot convince me otherwise. Women are more nurturing. That is just a fact of the matter. And that's not a bad thing. I think it's just that's why the dogs like me more. I mean, could be. I give them so much love and so many kisses. And I'm just like, hi, Phoebe, you're just so sweet. Yeah. And men are just not like that. They're more of the protector, provider. And that's not a bad thing. I think in the past, after this, we should probably wrap it up. We need to, yeah, and I want to reiterate, provider, it doesn't have to just be financial. I think that's where we get confused too. Like they can be the provider, but not necessarily like a financial provider either. True. And I think that's something that we kind of get put down on about. I mean, they are the provider. They are like a staple in the household. The protector. Yeah, the protector. Like, yeah. I mean, even like it's okay if a woman makes more money than her husband. Like, that's perfectly fine. But the husband also needs to find a way. I don't know how to describe it. You get what I'm saying?
Okay, so I'm gonna say something, and I don't know if you believe this.
Okay, we might be totally.
So we'll see. I believe that the man is the head of the household. I believe that, like, as Christians, we are supposed to submit to our husband, but you can't submit to someone. Like, if he's not submitted to Christ, then you don't have to. Well, if he's not submitted to Christ, you're not obligated to submit to him. And when I say submit, I don't mean like he says jump, you say how high. I just mean like absolute final decision.
How did Brandon say it? Because Brandon said it really good when we talked to him.
I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
But like, it's like final decision. So like, you still discuss decisions. Like, your husband should not be like, this is what we're doing, no questions asked.
Definitely.
But like, you discuss a decision, but like, if it's still kind of up in the air, he makes the final decision. And then like, when things happen, like, you know, your sin is your sin, but he is, as the husband, he is responsible to God for the house. So with that being said, that's what I believe. That's what I believe the Bible says. That's a whole nother episode we can definitely do this month, since it's Women's History Month. But all that being said, my whole point in saying that is, because men and women are different, because even if we can disagree about what submission looks like, but we can definitely agree that men and women were created separately. Therefore, there was a purpose for the separation. So they're not the same, but that does not mean that they aren't equal in value. And I think a lot of times, because in the past we specifically Christians have done a poor job expressing that, and like, that has not been lived out properly. I really don't think it's been lived out properly in a lot of people's lives. And that's just because we live in a fallen world. It has just a bad rep to it, because I feel like in the past it was men and women aren't equal, period, instead of men and women aren't the same, but they have equal value.
Yeah, and I think that's what we need to focus on, that aspect of it. I agree with that.
Yeah. But yeah, okay. Well, I
guess real quick. Favorite speech.
Favorite speech. Okay, so to be honest, I thought Ted Cruz did a really good job, and I know he's not a woman. I've been talking about women the whole time, but
I saw a little bit. Sebastian watched his. I loved his Cancun joke.
I know, that was so funny to me. That honestly, maybe that's why I think it was the best one, or my favorite one, because like, that was just. And I noticed. Well, also too, I want to comment this. If you ever hear it says, please just cut your hair normal. Please. I am begging you. It would just make me feel better. Oh God, please cut it normal.
Okay, this is gonna be rapid. Okay, favorite panel.
Okay, Maj Toure, Black Guns, that guy, he did a panel about reaching the Black community, and he said it was going to make you uncomfortable. And there were things that he said that were kind of, no, they definitely were uncomfortable, but it was so good. One thing that they said that I thought was really good and important was, and I'll try to make this really quick, they said that Black people are not all the same, just like every other race. So in other words, Carlton and Will Smith were both Republicans. You cannot send a Carlton to come and talk to Will Smith's about Republican values, because it just is not going to translate as well. And I was like, you know what? That's a perfect example, and that is so important. And then also, too, they talked about making sure we're elevating all Black conservative voices, even Black conservative voices that are a little rough around the edges, that make you a little uncomfortable. But if they're conservative and you're trying to get the Black vote, then go ahead and, get the Black vote. So that was my favorite panel.
And just favorite event.
The women's breakfast and lunch are tied.
Okay. I think that's
also all. Country line dancing is up there as well.
Is there anything I'm missing? Favorite celebrity you talked to when you were there.
Favorite celebrity I talked to. Honestly, I think Crystal, just because she was like so sweet and a small business owner, and like, she talked to me and really, actually, yes, Crystal, but Scott Presley. Okay. great guy, and he gave me his business card, and I told him, I was like, oh, I really love what you do, everything. And he, first of all, he asked me, he was like, where do you live? I was like, Charlotte, North Carolina. And he was like, okay, let me think if I know someone in Charlotte, North Carolina to connect you with. Because I told him, I was like, I really want, like, you're the right Stacey Abrams right now. Like, but we need you in, like, every state. And he was like, well, you can do it. He was something like that. Like, you can do it. And I was like, yeah, I want to, but I need your help. And he said he can come down to our Republican women's meeting and, like, do a training. So I'll give you his card. Awesome. And then he can maybe come to your YR and give a training.
Oh, yeah,
too.
that'd be awesome.
He wants to do it. And, guys, he's also said he's free.
He could be like our fundraiser. Oh, that would be cool.
And all he asked for, though, is a place to stay. And he said he has slept, he's cuddled with dogs before. He does not care. He just needs a place to lay his head.
Can go on the couch together. It's fine.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, he was so, okay, yeah, he definitely was my favorite. He was so kind, and he was so genuine. He was so sweet, and he really did care. Like, I mean, my friend that was with me, he knew someone in her town and, like, gave the email and was like, make sure you say Scott sent you. Oh, and I was like, cool. Wow. And because, you know, sometimes celebrities are kind of like, oh, hey. And like move on.
Brush
like,
you off and kind of like, I gotta get going.
Right. But he was like not like that at all. I'm so glad we met him.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. All right. Thanks everybody for listening. This is another long one, I think, but that's okay.
A little under an hour.
Oh, perfect. Just a reminder that this month is our conference.
Woo!
Super excited about that. I know, I can't believe it's coming up. And you guys are going to hear from some amazing women speakers talking about being a woman conservative, as well as being a Christian, as well as being pro-life, as well as being pro-Second Amendment, as well as being all these other issues, and how you can stand up and stand proud as that type of woman. And we are going to have some great giveaways. Super excited. So if you have not already, please go and RSVP on our website. You just click events, and then it's the only event we're having right now, and you can find us there. Also, yeah.
Do we have a donation for this month yet?
We might the day after this airs.
Okay.
Yes.
We'll keep you guys updated.
Yeah, we'll keep you updated. A little behind on that, but you know.
It's fine. We've been busy. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. In the meantime, if you want to donate to us, the link is on our website.
Yep.
All right.
All right, ladies. We'll talk to y'all later.